The president of the Brunei Darussalam National Olympic Council consents to attend the meeting of the Executive Committee for the Evaluation and Selection of National Athletes. The community needs to take comprehensive and appropriate action in protecting and conserving rivers and be prudent in water usage.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to News at 10. I'm Sabrina Haji Muhammad Ali.
Good evening, I'm Frankie Chan. Executive Committee for the Evaluation and Selection of National Athlete has held its meeting to evaluate and consider candidates as additional athletes to represent the country to the 30th Olympic Games in London. His Royal Highness Prince Haji Sufri Bolkiah, the President of the Brunei Darussalam National Olympic Council, consented to attend the meeting. The Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports, Datuk Paduka Awang Haji Muhammad Hamid, said only one additional athlete from athletics was nominated to participate in the London Olympic Games. The decision was reached in today's meeting. Datuk Paduka added that for the swimming event, there will be no additional female athlete because the criteria for the submission are not met, and the association decided not to nominate as requested by the committee on additional female athlete. Today's meeting was a follow-up to a decision of the Executive Committee meeting held on February the 13th, during which the committee considered two additional athletes as substitute or in the case of injury. Present at the meeting was the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports, Yang Berhormat Pihin Orang Kaya Perkema Laila Diraja, Datuk Seri Setia Awang Haji Hazar, and other members of the Executive Committee.
The other one is the Special Assistant to National Olympic Committee, which is given from the Olympic Solidarity Commission, received by BDNOC, where the grants is for the athletes. So I think at the moment it's difficult to say who is the first choice.
Members of the community in this country need to take comprehensive action and solution in response to all challenges related to the water issue. They need to take appropriate action in protecting and maintaining rivers and to use water sparingly. The Minister of Development made the reminder during the launch of World Water Day 2012 celebration. Yang Berhormat Pihin Orang Kaya Indrah Pahlawan, Datuk Seri Setia Awang Haji Suyoy, said technology development is not the actual challenge but brings awareness on the importance of water and that its shortage is the main challenge to the country's population. Yang Berhormat Pihin also said that in Brunei Darussalam, water usage of 450 litres per person per day is among the highest in the world in comparison to the neighbouring countries where the rate of usage is only around 150 to 280 litres per person per day. Yang Berhormat Pihin pointed out that it would be wrong for us in this country to think that the current water supply will be continuous and easily obtainable because for many countries of the world, the era of getting water supplies easily has passed. Therefore, we in the country need to improve the way we manage the water supply in the house, at the office and in our water supply system. All these approaches are important in order to reduce water shortage and ensure the security of water supplies in the future. This is the aim of our holding and commemorating World Water Day each year with different themes, that is to take specific steps in maintaining water security and to value water now while it's still easily obtainable in the country, and to ensure that the water supply is always sufficient, not only for us now, but also for the future generation.
Pembaziran dan memastikan bekalan air kita terjamin di masa akan datang. Itulah tujuannya kita mengadakan dan memperingati Hari Air Sedunia setiap tahun dengan tema yang berlainan, yaitu untuk kita mengambil langkah yang tertentu untuk menjaga keselamatan air, untuk kita menghargai air yang ada pada masa ini yang mudah kita dapati di negara ini, dan untuk memastikan bekalan air sentiasa mencukupi bukan saja untuk kita tetapi juga untuk generasi yang akan datang.
World Water Day is observed internationally on every 22nd of March as one of the means to focus people's attention to the importance of water and support the management for sustainable source of water. The theme of this year's World Water Day is food and water security. The importance of water cannot be denied, particularly clean water, especially in ensuring proper health care and in maintaining a clean environment. Hence, use of water as a valuable resource must be well controlled and managed.
Among the prevalent driving habits that are of great concern today is speeding. According to statistics from the Royal Brunei Police Force, 1,357 cases of speeding were recorded in 2011. And in the first 2 months of this year, a total of 780 cases were recorded. The Minister of Communications highlighted this in his remarks during a workshop session for the implementation of the demerit points system this morning. Yang Berhormat Pihin Orang Kaya Hamzah Pahlawan Datuk Seri Setia Awang Haji Abdullah expressed hope that the demerit points system, which he says come at the right time, would better expose driving offences and violations. This would effectively help the enforcement agencies in identifying the high-risk drivers who have the attitude of constantly violating road and traffic rules, such that they pose a potential danger to others on the roads as well as to themselves. Yang Berhormat Pihin said the demerit point system will be introduced in 3 phases. The first phase, to be carried out for 6 months from mid-April this year, will involve an evaluation of the effectiveness of the system and will serve as a period to enable the public to understand and get used to the system. Phase 2, to be implemented in October or November, will see the installation and testing of necessary hardware, including fixed speed cameras and traffic light cameras at a number of designated locations. The full nationwide deployment of the system will occur in the 3rd and final phase, which is slated for mid-2013.
Fasa ketiga, yaitu full implementation nationwide, akan dijalankan selepas kedua-dua fasa ini dan beberapa kelemahan-kelemahan atau pembaikan-pembaikan yang dikenal pasti dalam kedua-dua fasa ini diambil kira dan dapat diperbaiki.
The Ministry of Communications, through the Land Transport Department, will revise the existing compound fines that are considered as being too low as to help the enforcement agencies achieve their objective of stepping up the culture of careful driving and placing road safety as a top priority. Brunei Darussalam welcomes research collaborations on the nation's pristine and largely undisturbed wetland forests. The wetland forest will provide many opportunities to numerous research and development undertakings that will add new knowledge to various fields ranging from soil profile, carbon trading, sustainable forest management and biodiversity. This was according to the Minister of Industry and Primary Resources while officiating at the International Conference on Wetland Forests. This was held this morning at a hotel in Gadong. Yang Berhormat Pihin Orang Kaya Seri Utama Datuk Seri Setia Awang Haji Yahya, in his speech, shared his views on wetland forests and how Brunei Darussalam can play a role in the conservation and sustainable use of wetland forests. He also mentioned the International Conference on Wetland Forests as an important part of the country's national initiatives to further its capacities, not only in the conservation of this important ecosystem, but also its sustainable development for the country's future generation.
Of the 7 forest types found in the country, there are 3 considered. Almost half of it are considered as wetland forests. These include peatland, freshwater swamp and mangrove forests, which covers about 15% of our total land area, or about 87,000 hectares. Wetland forests are important carbon sink because of the huge amount of carbon sequestrated from the undecomposed and partly decomposed organic matters that have been accumulated over the years. Wetland forests are therefore important in mitigating the impact of climate change. Wetland is also an important habitat to biodiversity and provide many services to hydrological cycle.
Yang Berhormat Pihin presented prizes to winners of a photo competition. The 2-day-long international conference on wetland forests carries a theme, Forest Biodiversity Towards Green Economy. The conference is to promote sustainable management of the wetland forest and to explore their economic potential through their proper or wise utilization that contributes to the development of green economic activities.
The book, The Report Brunei Darussalam, further enhances Brunei's profile around the world in its continuous effort to provide reliable sources of information on the country.
Details after this excerpt of His Majesty's Tita.
The report series have been published annually by OBG, Oxford Business Group, since 2007, considered to be a premier source of information on economic review, business opportunities and foreign investment potentials of Brunei Darussalam. The Permanent Secretary at the Prime Minister's office made the remarks at the launching ceremony of the report Brunei Darussalam 2011 book this morning. Pangeran Haji Abdul Haris bin Pangeran Haji Shahbuddin, in his welcoming speech, said that the publication of the report Brunei Darussalam 2011 is hoped to further enhance Brunei's profile around the world in its continuous effort to provide reliable sources of information of the country. The report Brunei Darussalam 2011 looks in detail at the Sultanate's major projects, which are proving to be instrumental in attracting rising levels of private investment.
In our continuous efforts in providing reliable information of the country, and inshallah we'll get the attention of more business executives.
Meanwhile, Editor-in-Chief of Oxford Business Group OBG, Andrew Jeffrey, said the report has drawn a large audience, especially among the financial and industrial community, universities, as well as government and diplomatic circle. Readers like OBG's approach that is comprehensive but concise.
To investment opportunities that are available. OBG spends a great deal of time and resources on its reports and is continuously...
Present was the Deputy Minister at the Prime Minister's office, Datuk Paduka Haji Awang Ali bin Haji Apong, who officially launched the book, The Report Brunei Darussalam 2011. The fifth series publication of the report Brunei Darussalam 2011, among others, puts the country's plan for industrial expansion in the spotlight as the Sultanate pushes ahead with its long-term development program, Brunei Vision 2035. The year 2011 is a historical year for this region and also for Brunei Darussalam because the focus of investment has moved this region, which at one time were given to China and India. Now the global business is converging to Southeast Asia. The Oxford Business Group OBG believes the strategic location of Brunei Darussalam is a gateway because it offers a political stability, secure macroeconomy and infrastructure, and educated workforce. The matter was disclosed by the regional editor of OBG, Paulius Kuncinas, in an interview with RTB.
And our main focus is this will never become a big manufacturing destination or mass tourism, but there are lots of high value added niches, be it in ecotourism or, for instance, in marketing and branding of food processing products like halal, in research and development, in training. For instance, we just discovered that Brunei will become a center for training helicopter pilots, which is a very, it's low capital investment, but it's a very high value added service. And finally, education. We see big opportunities for British, American, maybe universities and schools coming to set up here and become a center for the whole region. This year we're a little bit more comfortable. We're obviously not we're not saying the crisis is completely over, but we can see that the banks have all survived, including, the local banks are doing just fine. There's plenty of liquidity and capital. So now I think the main difference this year, we want to focus on real investment opportunities and on implementation. So, and we expect a lot will happen in the next 18 months. We're quite confident that this will be a transformational period.
The Nadwa course on spiritual purity ended today with the presentation of certificates. 26 students from 5 selected secondary schools throughout the country attended the 4-day course. The certificates were presented to the participants by the Acting Director of Schools at the Ministry of Education, Awang Haji Kasim. The course, which was jointly organized by the Islamic Dawah Center and the Department of Schools, aimed to enhance understanding of Islam among students and raise awareness on the importance of practicing Islamic teachings with a strong akidah or belief and complete religious acts, as well as a sense of responsibility to oneself, parents, leaders, race and nation.
Not all steel is created equal. Not all manufacturing processes are created equal. Not all engineering standards are created equal. Which is why not all luxury vehicles are created equal. The hard way is how Lexus inspires absolute confidence. The hard way is the pursuit of perfection.
No cash? No problem. Baiduri Visa Debit Card. Simply Baiduri.
One of the ways to broaden the students' minds is by making study visits. Recently, the Temburong district received a visit by students of the Madang branch of the Brunei Malay Teachers Association's Tunas Jaya School. Apart from filling the pupils' first-term school holiday time, the visit also aimed to expose them to the various panoramas of the Temburong district and at the same time enable them to know more about the district. According to the supervisory teacher, Nur Aziza binti Abbas, the aim of the visit was to let the pupils see for themselves what Temburong district has in store and expose them to the residents in the district and their way of life. Some of the pupils had visited Temburong with their families before, while many others have never been to the district.
Melihat sendiri apa yang terjadi di Temburong, apa yang ada di Temburong, supaya mereka akan ingat selama-lamanya. Kebanyakan murid tidak pernah datang ke Temburong. Dengan sendirinya bila mereka kemari, mereka akan sendiri expose.
For the pupils who visited the Temburong district for the first time, this trip was very meaningful experience to them.
Baru kali pertama. Macam mana sih? Syoklah, unik, antiknya, banyak hal lagi.
Apa saja aktiviti yang ada buat di sini?
Sukan ria, melawat ke tempat-tempat yang menarik. Ini adalah kali ketiga saya ke Temburong. Temburong ini syoklah dapat membuat saya gembira di sini dan seronok.
Kampung Senoko wishes to further develop and expand its economic project of producing yellow noodles conducted by the Kampung's Women's Bureau. The project that has been carried out since 2007 has been receiving good response. The project has also drawn the attention of the members of the Blight District's Women Welfare Association who made a visit to Kampung Senoko. The group was led by the association's president, Dayang Haja Kartini binti Orang Kaya Paduka Sri Diraja, Abang Haji Abu Hanifa. Apart from strengthening unity and capability of the Kampung community, the visit is also to share experience and knowledge in ways to achieve the objective of one Kampung, one product. The industry in making ambulong, a sago product in Kampung Batu Apoy, has also drawn the visitors' interest. The project has been carried out since 2007 and is further developed by members of the Kampung Batu Apoy Consultative Council. In the Temburong district, there are 17 kampung producing their respective products, including agricultural products and handicrafts. Kamas program held recently is an initial step to further invigorate local youth and community in activities through which they will learn to appreciate and practice the caring attitude towards the society. The Kamas program community activity is organized by the Youth and Sports Department branch in the Temburong district. Recently, the community work focused on a house in Kampung Payak Bangangan, Tumburong, owned by Awang Lisa bin Hamid. The activity involved 30 youth from the Tumburong District Office, the Public Works Department, youth associations in the Tumburong District and the Islamic Religious Council in the district. According to the Ketua of Kampung Ratai, Haji Ali bin Radin, selection of houses to be given assistance in this program is being coordinated by the Youth and Sports Department with the cooperation of the Ketua Kampung.
Cara pemilihan untuk program ini telah pun diselaraskan oleh bahagian Jabatan Belia dan Sukan, yang mana dengan kerjasama Ketua Kampung untuk memilih bagi mencadangkan rumah-rumah yang
The house owner Awang Lisa bin Hamid thanked the Youth and Sports Department for the assistance in repairing his house where he and 6 members of his family live.
Saya berterima kasih kepada Belia dan Sukan yang Masani, yang semua ada di sini, yang bisa buat tangga, lantai dan atap.
In efforts to help the National Blood Bank collect much-needed blood for saving lives, the Brunei Muara and Blight District Branch of the Youth and Sports Department this morning organised a mass blood donation campaign at the Youth Centre in Bandar Seri Begawan. The blood donation campaign is an annual activity of the Department of Youth and Sports, and this year is the 19th of such campaign. It had received encouraging response from the public, especially the youth. The organizer explained that they were satisfied with the results of the campaign. At one time, they recorded 300 people donating blood. However, there were also those unfit after screening was submitted.
Dan jabatan ini adalah sangatlah berpuas hati bagi menganjurkan kempen derma darah ini dengan kerjasama tabung darah Hospital Ripas. Jabatan telah pernah merekrut seramai 300 peserta yang menderma, tapi ada yang rata-rata tidak unfit selepas pemeriksaan.
A company in the Blight district has been imposed a $500 fine for disposing of construction waste in an open area and not abiding with regulations on the issue. The enforcement section of Blight District Office gave a week's deadline for the company to pay the fine, and if it fails, the fine will be increased to $1,000. On a second offence, a fine of $3,000 will be imposed, along with jail sentences of not more than 3 months.
Applicants of the Technical and Vocational Education Scholarship Scheme at private education institutions in the country under the Human Resource Fund are required to be present tomorrow at the hall of the Fire and Rescue Services Department at the Old Airport site to receive the scholarship award letter. Applicants are reminded to bring with them their smart identity card. The results of their applications can be accessed through the website as stated here. The scholarship award letters will be given out from 8:30 until 11 in the morning and from 2 to 5 in the afternoon. For further inquiries, please contact the Economic Planning and Development Department at the Fire Brigade Hall, Old Airport on the same day or through telephone line 22 333 44. It's coming up to 10:24 and leading our international news tonight. Rebel soldiers have seized power in Mali.
And Russia and China support UN statements on ending the Syrian conflict. Stay with us with the World News.
In world news tonight, renegade Malian soldiers have seized power, putting an end to the incompetent regime of Amadou Toumani Touré and declared a curfew. The UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon called for calm and for grievances to be settled democratically. In a settlement statement, hours before the soldiers said they had seized power.
Rebel soldiers went on state television to declare that they had seized power and would look to hand over to a new democratically elected government. The spokesman for the National Committee for the Restoration of Democracy and State, CNRDR, has accused Tourist government of failing to end rebellion in the north. The statement made no reference to the whereabouts of Toure, who for the past decade has presided over one of the more stable governments in West Africa and was due in any case to step down after election scheduled for late next month. However, the gall and cotton-producing nation has struggled to contain a northern rebellion launched late last year by local Tuareg nomads joined by heavily armed fellow Tuaregs returning from Libya after fighting for ousted leader Muammar Gaddafi. Sporadic heavy weapons and tracer fire rang out in Bamako throughout the night, and the mutineers say they lack arms and resources to face the separatist insurgency in the Sahel. Anger has grown in the army at the handling of the rebellion that has exposed Bamako's lack of control over the northern half of a country twice the size of France. Soldiers have for weeks appealed to the government for better weapons to fight the rebels, who are bolstered by fighters who had fought in Libya's civil war last year. Bamako was briefly paralyzed last month as hundreds of Malians put up street barricades and burned tires in the streets to protest at the government's handling of the rebellion. Tuareg fighters seeking to carve out a desert homeland in Mali's north have made advances in recent weeks, including the seizure this month of the key garrison town of the Salid by the Algerian border.
The UN Security Council, including Russia and China, threw its weight behind efforts by Kofi Annan to end the bloody conflict in Syria, providing a rare moment of global unity in the face of the year-long crisis.
UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said that the Security Council had sent a clear message to Syria to end all violence and for dialogue to start between the country's government and the opposition. Ban told this to reporters during a two-day visit to Malaysia. Annan, a former UN Secretary General, called the Syrian government to cease troop movements in population centers and end the use of heavy weapons in such areas in a written proposal. It also called for the government and opposition to hold talks to secure a peaceful settlement. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has not rejected the proposals but has challenged their feasibility and has asked who can speak for the splintered opposition. The UN has estimated over at least 8,000 people had died in the bloodshed revolt.
A Libyan government delegation leaves Mauritania saying it believes it has secured agreement for the extradition of Muammar Gaddafi's spy chief Abdullah al-Senussi to face trial.
A Libyan government spokesman said they have an assurance from Mauritania that it will extradite. Nasir Amani told reporters in Tripoli on the delegation's return that the delegation negotiated the details of the handing over of Senussi to the Libyan authorities, under which he will have a fair trial to international standards. The results of the negotiations with Mauritania are that the state confirms its readiness to hand him over to the Libyan authorities as soon as the legal procedures are in place. The Libyan delegation also visited Senussi in detention. Mani said Senussi will soon be in Libya to be tried in Tripoli. Libya is vying with France and the Hague-based International Criminal Court (ICC) to try Gaddafi's former right-hand man. Mauritanian sources played down Libyan suggestions that a deal to extradite Senussi was almost complete, one calling it wishful thinking, and said other countries also had a say in the case. France wants Senussi in connection with the 1989 airliner bombing over Niger, in which 54 of its nationals died. Several rights groups have said that they doubt whether Senussi, 62, would get a fair trial in Libya and that he would be better transferred to the ICC to face charges of crimes against humanity. Officials have said Senussi was arrested with a young man believed to be his son.
In other world news, Syria's main opposition group said the UN statement calling for all parties to end violence in Syria will simply give the regime more time to continue killing its own people. The Syrian National Council, SNC, said such statements issued amid continued killings offer the regime the opportunity to push ahead with its repression in order to crush the revolt by the Syrian people. SNC said the statement adopted by the UN was non-binding and as such, toothless.
Amateur video posted on the internet yesterday showed a burning tank in the street of Al Khalidia neighborhood in Homs. Another video from the same location showed several civilians carrying a wounded man, and the sound of shelling is heard in the distance. The British-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said 21 civilians were killed in Syria yesterday, the majority by government shelling of towns in Syria's central Homs province. The army fired mortars into the Khalidia district of Homs city, while artillery targeted the rebel town of Rastan, north of Homs city. A video from a different location, Al Hamidia, neighborhood of Hama, showed several armed men in military uniform poking with their feet what appeared to be a dead body. Another video from the same location showed several bodies scattered near military vehicles. The voice on the video described them as civilians who were killed trying to flee the neighborhood.
China defends its detaining of 21 Vietnamese crew members found fishing off the disputed Paracel Islands and warns countries against violating its sovereignty after reports emerged that the Philippines plans to appear in the Spratly Islands. Vietnam demanded China release them unconditionally.
Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Hung Lee said that more than 100 Vietnamese fishing boats had illegally entered the waters around the Paracel Islands and authorities had dealt with them. But Vietnam said it was China that had violated Vietnam's sovereignty and demanded the fishermen's release. Hung also demanded that the Philippines respect China's territory after reports emerged that the Philippines plans to build a pier on one of the disputed Spratly Islands. China is against any foreign activity that violates China's sovereignty, he added. China, along with the Philippines and several other ASEAN member countries and Taiwan, all claim territory in the South China Sea.
Australia's most wanted man was captured holed up in a lonely mountain cabin near the town of Gloucester in the New South Wales Upper Hunter after 7 years on the run, during which time he lived in rugged wilderness, often like an animal.
Malcolm Naden, an Aboriginal bush survival expert and murder suspect, had been compared with Australia's most famous 19th century bushranger Ned Kelly for his ability to elude police, at one stage narrowly escaping of the shootout at a farmhouse. Naden, 38, often broke into empty, isolated farmhouses to gain supplies before returning to inaccessible bushland. But in the early hours of today, the cat-and-mouse game ended when police surrounded a house in the rugged Barrington Tops, a few hours' drive north of Sydney. Despite being surrounded by heavily armed police, Naden made a dash to escape, but was brought down by a police dog. Naden, a former abattoir worker, has been on the run since 2005 when the body of his cousin was found in a bedroom of his family's home. He is a suspect in her murder, another in the same year, and has been questioned about an indecent assault of a 15-year-old girl in 2004 and the shooting of a police officer. After the 2011 shooting of the police officer, the bounty on Naden's head was lifted to 250,000 Australian dollars.
A coin swallowed by a small boy in Huihua City, China's Hunan province, has been successfully removed by doctors after 5 days.
The game coin was put into the 6-year-old mouth by other children when he was asleep, and he unconsciously swallowed the coin. His parents discovered the problem only 5 days later when he had a serious stomach ache and was taken to hospital. Through analyzing the chest X-ray, doctors at number 525 Chinese People's Liberation Army's hospital decided to take the coin out by using gastroscope rather than conducting an operation. To further reduce the harm on the young patient, doctors attached a fastener to the gastroscope equipment to avoid the sharp brim of the coin from cutting his stomach.
Now let's take a look at some world news updates. And now a quick look at the weather forecast for Brunei for tonight and tomorrow, as well as the temperatures of some of the main cities around the world, followed by the local tide charts.
Moving on to the Nisab Zakat or tithe rates for cash and property.
Foreign exchange segment is brought to you by HSBC.
The success of the Young Wasps or Tebuan Muda team has proven that Brunei Darussalam is on the right track towards achieving the 2035 vision of generating educated citizens, highly skilled and successful in sports. This afternoon, the Oil and Gas Discovery Centre OGDC held a Meet the Fans session with the Tebuan Muda team in celebrating their achievement for being the champion of the Hasanah Bolkiah Trophy HBT 2012. Also present were the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports, Datuk Paduka Haji Muhammad Hamid, and the Managing Director of the Brunei Shell Petroleum, Mr. Ken Marnock. The team's presence at the OGDC gave inspiration to the youths and community in the Blight district and provided opportunities for the football fans to meet the players of the Tebuan Muda, which brought glory to Brunei Darussalam.
A total of 44 youth from the 4 districts have participated in the Tutong Amazing Race, which locally called Songdai Perabang, which means Let's Run. The event is part of the ongoing efforts by the Youth and Sports Department in giving exposure to the youth to challenging activities that also test both their mental and physical endurances. The launching was held last night by the Acting Assistant Tutong District Officer Awang Haji Haizul Rizal bin Haji Yahya. The participants were divided into 22 teams with 2 persons in each team and conducted in 2 sessions. During the night session, the participants were given maps for the orientation race to a number of locations in the Tutong district. Meanwhile, in the morning session, they were given directions that lead them to 11 selected spots in the Tutong district.
Dan pada format pada kali ini kami mengubah adalah sedikit bukan sedikit mungkin banyak je lah kerana yang terdahulu ia menggunakan sebahagian saja daerah Tutong ini daerah Pekan Tutong. Jadi pada tahun ini pada kali ini kami memperluaskan lagi area yang kami gunakan maksudnya checkpoint atau jadi inilah lebih mencabar lagi lah aktiviti ini pada tahun ini kerana dengan tugasan orang yang akan buat nanti semuanya tugasan ini kami berpandukan kepada juga format-formatnya orang dari segi kebudayaan, dari segi jati diri, teamwork, semua kami masukkan dalam this activity.
The activity was organized for the purpose of promoting places of interest in the Tutong district. It also served as a mental fitness test to the participants. Moving to English soccer, Manchester City narrowed the gap on leader Manchester United to a single point following a 2-1 win over Chelsea early today. Carlos Tevez inspired the victory over Chelsea on his return from exile as a second-half substitute at Eastlands. The Argentine forward set up a winning goal for Samir Nasri. Meanwhile, Arsene Wenger warned his resurgent Arsenal players that they cannot afford to relax after moving into the Premier League's top 3 for the first time this season. Arsenal move up to a season-high 3rd place with a 1-0 win at Everton, while Tottenham slipped to 4th after a 1-1 draw with Stoke. In another match, Queen Park Rangers made a stunning comeback to beat Liverpool 3-2 at Lotus Road. Manager Kenny admits that Liverpool must learn from their stunning meltdown against Queen Park Rangers if they are to avoid their Premier League season drifting to a disappointing end. Let's take a look at the latest English Premier League standings. Let's now reflect on the sabda of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, on the strength of true Muslims.
Verily, a true Muslim to his true Muslim brother is like a building structure. One part supports the other.
Well, this has been News at 10. On behalf of Sabrina and the rest of the team here at Studio 3, I'm Frankie wishing you a pleasant Friday tomorrow and good night.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.